dura mater and bones. There is no space, they fuse together. But in some places, for example here, we have space, what present in this space? Venous blood. That is sinus, what is?
Venosus.
Yes, sinus venosus. What is the name of this sinus, who remember? Sinus? Where is base of the skull, plastic base of the skull?
No.
It's that stuff. Should I get it from the lab?
Do not receive? It is necessary. That is superior sagittal sinus, sinus sagittalis superior. Do you remember?
Yes.
And this sinus opens into confluence sinus. It is between dura mater and bone. Then these two layers, this layer of dura mater and this, they fuse together, but in lower part of falx cerebri, here, in lower part, in space between two layers of dura mater, we also have space. It is also sinus. What is this sinus? Sinus sagittalis inferior. And another sinus which also makes with the help of dura mater, that is between falx cerebri and tentorium cerebelli, this sinus, that is straight sinus, sinus rectus, straight sinus, sinus rectus. That is why two sinuses, inferior sagittal and straight sinus, makes with the help of dura mater. All another sinuses between bone and dura mater, superior sagittal, here transverse sinus, this one, sinus sphenoparietalis, here and here cavernous sinus, anteriorly and posteriorly intercavernous sinus, and below of tentorium cerebelli we have superior and inferior petrosal sinus, occipital sinus, sigmoid sinus, and sinus marginalis. In a minute we try to see these sinuses again. This is arachnoidea, here it is hemisphere, and pia mater, that is pia mater, which is attached to hemisphere. And this is subarachnoid space. And now arachnoidea grows through dura mater and makes granulations, granulationes arachnoidalis. These granulations, they pass through dura mater in the region of sinuses, and with the help of these granulations, cerebrospinal fluid is absorbed into the sinuses, mixed here with venous blood, and leaves skull through internal jugular vein. That is circulation of cerebrospinal fluid. You should start from ventricle, then how cerebrospinal fluid leaves brain, and how it leaves subarachnoid space and goes into the sinuses. And again, this sinus is sinus sagittalis superior, this place that is confluence sinum, and straight sinus, sinus rectus, the same opens into confluence. One way from confluence through what? Transverse, and then sigmoid sinus, and goes to jugular foramen, and here internal jugular vein start. Another way from confluence, that is occipital sinus, and occipital sinus subdivides into sinus marginalis, marginal sinus. And this sinus, the same, opens into jugular foramen. Here, sinus sphenoparietalis, and here the same. It goes to cavernous sinus, sinus cavernosus. In front and behind we have intercavernous sinus, and sinus cavernosus, one way from cavernous sinus, it goes to sinus petrosus inferior directly into jugular foramen, or sinus petrosus superior, then sigmoid sinus and jugular foramen. And last, blood supply of brain and spinal cord. It is not new information that brain receive blood from two internal carotid arteries, arteria carotis interna, right and left, and two vertebral arteries, arteria vertebralis, the same right and left. And vertebral arteries join together and makes arteria basilaris. From internal carotid artery we have arteria cerebri media, arteria cerebri anterior, choroid, arteria choroidea posterior, and arteria communicans posterior. Here is the same, arteria cerebri media, arteria cerebri anterior, arteria choroidea, and arteria communicans posterior. Between two anterior cerebral arteries, we have arteria communicans anterior. Arteria basilaris subdivides into arteria cerebri posterior. Here it is arteria cerebri posterior. It's joined with arteria communicans posterior. And we receive Willis cycle. And new information for you, that is areas of blood supply. What supplies? Anterior cerebral artery, middle and posterior. Look here. Arteria cerebri anterior. It supplies whole medial surface of hemisphere till this groove. What is this groove? Parietal. All of this surface. Then it supplies trach gyrus. It supplies superior frontal gyrus, upper part of pre- and post-central gyri, and superior parietal lobule. Then arteria cerebri media. It goes into sulcus lateralis and supplies all another parts of frontal lobe, parietal lobe, and upper lateral surface of temporal lobe. And posterior cerebral artery supplies occipital lobe and inferior surface of temporal lobe. Next, how many arteries goes to cerebellum? 3. Upper or superior cerebellar artery, arteria cerebellaris superior, and 2 inferior, arteria cerebelli inferior anterior from arteria basilaris, and arteria cerebelli inferior posterior from vertebral arteries. Here it is arteria pontis. This is arteria spinalis anterior, and paired arteria spinalis posterior. 3 spinal arteries supply spinal cord, and they has anastomosis in cervical department with vertebral artery, in thoracic department with posterior intercostal arteries, which start from thoracic part of aorta, and in lumbar department they make anastomosis with arteria lumbalis from abdominal aorta. That is all, and I want to show some moments in preparates, and we finished with it. This is lateral ventricle, left lateral ventricle, and here it is right lateral ventricle. We can see that anterior horn in frontal lobe and this anterior horn separates one from another with the help of septum pellucidum, that is medial wall. It is transparent septum. Lateral wall, this and this, that is caudate nucleus, head of caudate nucleus. Central part, here it is dorsal surface of thalamus and body of caudate nucleus. In posterior horn, we have calcar avis, and in inferior horn, here we can see hypocamp. This is hypocamp, and that is crura fornicis, which makes fimbria hypocampi. And between this and this fornix, we have commissura fornicis, which join together left and right hypochondrium. What else? Basal nuclei, that is caudate nucleus, and here it is lentiform nucleus. Together, that is corpus striatum, and this white matter, that is internal capsule. And this is lentiform nucleus. Then that is cortex of insula, and this narrow part of gray matter, that is claustrum, between claustrum and lentiform nucleus, external capsule, and between claustrum and cortex of insula, capsula extrema. Just a moment, last moment, what I forgot to explain, that is subarachnoid space in brain has some dilations. They are cisterna of subarachnoid space. One cistern is in fossa lateralis. You asked me about fossa lateralis. Look here, one again. This is fossa lateralis. Here it is, fossa lateralis. And in this place, subarachnoid space makes cisterna fossa lateralis. Another cistern in front from optic chiasma. This is cisterna chiasmatis. Next is between peduncles of the brain, cisterna interpeduncularis. And last cistern between medulla oblongata and cerebellum. This is cisterna cerebella medullaris. 5 cistern, one is paired. Cisterna fossa lateralis, it is paired. Cisterna chiasmatis, interpeduncularis, and cisterna cerebella medullaris, they are unpaired. This is corpus callosum, that is genu corporis callosi, truncus corporis callosi, splenium corporis callosi. It is fornix. No, I already said that it is sulcus, what is it? Cinguli. This is sulcus parieta accipitalis. This is precuneus. Here it is cuneus. Sulcus calcarinus, gyrus lingualis. And this gyrus cinguli. And here it is isthmus. I said that it is tractus olfactorius, and this gyrus is gyrus rectus, straight gyrus, gyrus rectus. Well,
We need to know everything for next class.
next class, this diagram, that is arteries of brain, it is not new diagram for you. And this diagram, basal nuclei and fibrous tracts in internal capsule.
Bed preparation.
Preparation, of course, you need to know.
I said the caudate nucleus.
Caudate nucleus.
Is it on the insula? Inside the insula? No?
It is inside, yes, insula here, and caudate nucleus, that is head, body, and tail. Yes, it is medially from insula. After 2 weeks, next week, you will answer these classes. After 1 week, you will answer conductive tracts, and after 2 weeks, mini exam.